Hello, everyone. I hope that you are well today. This is a flip through of the Druidcraft Tarot by Philip and Stephanie Carr-Gom, illustrated by Will Worthington. This deck has been done a lot, so these are just my musings on the deck. I ordered originally this larger version of the deck, which really just means that you get a bigger book. I'm kind of glad I did because the book is phenomenal, but it does take up a lot of space, and it seems like the smaller book is the same thing, it's just smaller. So after I ordered this big one, and you can see the damage on the box that was there when I got it before I even unwrapped the plastic. And the deck was new, everything else was new, but the box is just really big, a little bit cumbersome, but I love this deck. So I had seen it on a couple of other channels, and it looked like something that I would really love, because if there is such thing as a past life, I'm pretty sure I was a druid. And then I was a pirate, but first I was probably a druid. And I loved this large deck and the big book, and I loved it so much that I ordered a smaller deck. And then I saw somebody else's channel where they had cut the white borders off all of the cards, and I loved that even more. So I bought another deck so that I could cut the borders off, because, y'all, this deck is super cool. It is strong. It gives me strong readings. Like some decks, and I love softer decks because I'm a Pisces and I feel all the feels, and softer decks are my drive. So for those of you who can do those dark, deep, scary decks, I'm kind of jealous. I cannot do that. I generally gravitate toward the softer, more gentile decks, but this one is super strong, and it's strong in a way that really works for me. I have had some of the most phenomenal readings from this deck, and it is quickly working its way into being my favorite go-to deck. I mean, I love me a good Rider-Waite-Smith deck. That's probably my favorite. I'm getting better with the Thoth deck, and that imagery is pretty strong too, but I always felt like it was kind of yelling at me, so I didn't gravitate toward that Thoth deck very first. But this one, even though the energy feels very strong to me, it still just does so well in readings. So I currently have another deck on the way so that I can cut the borders off, and probably I will make it into kind of a travel deck. I've never cut the borders off a deck, so I'm really scared. Thankfully, this deck is not a super expensive deck unless you get the big book, which is why I had to order a second deck. So I've watched several other flip throughs of this deck, and I don't feel like y'all were being super honest with me. Nobody portrayed to me like how completely freaking awesome this deck is. So if you feel like perhaps if there are other lives in this existence and you were a druid in one of them, then definitely you need to get this deck. I feel like tarot in general does a really good job, especially things that are fashioned after the Rider-Waite-Smith method, does a really good job of balancing the male and female energy. So while this deck does this, it still has a little more masculine energy than a lot of the other decks that I work with too. So when I first worked with it, I really appreciated how that masculine energy just kind of tapped on me. It didn't smack me in the face, it just kind of gave me a little tap, and I've loved it so much. And remember, you are loved.